In my soup, excuse me, waiter. And there's the ukulele in my soup, I do declare. Breakfast with Bob and my friends from England.
Yeah, we have a studio audience here for the 2015 edition of Breakfast with Bob. Pancho Man, you are the best. We're presented by EAS Sports, Cliff Bar, Timex, Roca, Tanya Porta, Rudy Project, and we're airing on slowtwitch.com. Our next guest went from 15th to 2nd here last year, Mr. Ben Hoffman. The Hoff, I like to go fast. How you doing?
It's great to be back, Bob. Thanks for having me on the show.
Not a problem. So, Ben, talk a little bit about how your world changed last year about this time, right? You take 2nd place in the most important endurance event in the world, and things can change a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's Hawaii has that power, you know. Ironman Hawaii has that power to change your life, and I certainly got a glimpse of that last year. Of course, I want to go one more spot, you know, up on the podium, but even getting 2nd certainly changed my life. You know, a few more obligations and things on the island this year, but overall, it's been really good. You know, I mean, this is something that we all strive for. You want to reach the highest level in sport, and I feel like I'm getting to that place. So you don't always know what it means to do that when you haven't been there, but I think I'm learning and I'm adjusting, and I mostly like it. So it's a good situation.
So what was going from 15th to 2nd? Huge leap. What did you do between that year of finishing 15th to getting 2nd last year? Was it just one of those things where your body just got accustomed to the training, or was there an aha moment where you realized, okay, I got to do this?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both. You know, I think my career has been a steady progression. I've kind of gotten better each year, and I hope that trend is continuing. I feel like it is. I'm 32 years old now. Just, you know, in August I turned 32, and I think my best years are in front of me, and I think I've been kind of steadily progressing. But I think what really changed was that I didn't just say the words that I'm focusing on Hawaii. I actually made Hawaii my real #1 goal. And that meant figuring out what it was that I had to do to be better here. In the past, the heat has really affected me, and I wouldn't say I naturally race well in heat, so I had to figure out what that meant for me and, you know, adapt myself to this island because, you know, everyone talks about Kona, and it's crazy. It's hot, it's humid, it's windy, but Kona stays the same. It's hard every single year, and you really have to change yourself and get better if you want to do well out here. So I kind of just had to look inside myself and make that a real thing where I wasn't just saying the words, oh, Ironman Hawaii, it's not everyone's goal, everyone wants to win, but to do the work to actually be ready to win here. And that was probably the biggest thing. And, of course, having a little bit more self-belief, and for me, that comes through a lot of the training, too. And I got a lot, you know, I think I got the timing a lot better than the year before when I was 15th. I think I got a little bit too fit too fast. And I was definitely fit when I got 15th, and it hurt almost just as bad to get 15th as it did to get 2nd. But I think my timing was a lot better last year, and just learned some lessons and really made it the focus.
You talked about heat, and you were probably the first guy I've seen wearing sort of an ultra marathon or little extension off your cap just to keep the heat off your neck. And obviously you put water on that keeps your neck cool. Was that something from training that you were like trying to come up with something? Yeah,
you know, I mean, I think it was a bit of both, like between knowing that I needed to do something that physically was, you know, making me cooler, but also something that mentally, you know, made me kind of in my zone and felt like I was doing something, you know, where sometimes all you have to do is really convince yourself that something's working. But yeah, I used that in training. I also made an ice scarf, which really worked for me. It kept some of the ice hanging on my neck, which was really helpful. It cooled me down. But you know, I've got a couple new things on my sleeves this year to keep me cool, and
you can tell there's nobody here.
Yeah, nobody's listening.
Some of the secrets that you're planning on this year.
No, I've just got some special edition hats that'll have some interesting things in them. It's called polar ice caps actually, and you know, I've worked with a guy out of Colorado to help develop them, and Boco Gear was really, you know, helpful in getting these designed for me. They're custom hats that will help me stay cool out there. So I'm excited to try them out and see how they perform on race day.
So had you seen this before? We've got the Ben Hoffman autographed card. Had you seen it? Nils Nilsson?
I only saw those on social media before just now, and I got to admit, I'm pretty jealous. That looks sharp.
Yeah, and having a baseball card of yourself, probably going back when you were, traveling around, trying to make a few bucks at races. So how long ago was that when you guys
you know, the things really started for me in college. I was a student at the University of Montana, Missoula. And
triathlon capital of the world.
One of them, yeah, it was back in the day. You know, we had a lot of ex-pros that were around giving us good advice straight off the bat. And I think I did my first race in 2004. So started training in the winter of 2003. Did my first race in 2004. But when the stuff that you're talking about really happened in the summer of 2006. We call it, my now coach and I actually call it the the Summer of Glory, where we went and lived out of a car. And
so was he your coach back then, or
he was not really my coach yet. We were more just training
buddy.
partners, and we raced together, and we were on the team. So anyway, we went and traveled around in the Pacific Northwest in Canada because you could make prize money even if you weren't a professional back then. So I think I made about $3,000 that summer, and it was like just enough to get us by and put a little bit away and eat pasta every night and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at lunch. So. But yeah, that was kind of the start of all that. But I never imagined I'd have my own baseball/triathlon card. Sweet.
So after you win last year, besides more sponsorship, Bahrain Endurance Team, all that type of stuff, you're running out of space on your shirt here, buddy.
I need to get a longer shirt.
You need a longer shirt, which you didn't need last year.
No, not as much. No, I mean, I always had really good support from my sponsors.
Yeah.
And I've been with a lot of these people from the very beginning, and I'm proud to be with them still. They've supported me in a major way to get to this point.
Yeah.
But certainly, added some new people to the roster, made some small changes, brought night composites on. There's some different wheels that I'm riding this year. They made me some custom wheels that are pretty exciting. You'll probably see some pictures of them. Yeah, some checkered flag carbon wheels. So, yeah, those are exciting. And then part of the Bahrain team along with a lot of their superstars. So. And, of course, part of the Island House team out of the Bahamas.
Yep.
So, that's exciting. We'll have a race after Hawaii, that's down in the Bahamas, a 3-day race. It'll be kind of a throwback to the old school enduro-style racing. And, I'm excited. A lot of new stuff, a lot of cool stuff.
So, going into this year's race, it's, Sebastian Kienle's defending champion. Jan Frodeno and Sebi raced last year here, with Sebi winning, and then they raced at Frankfurt with Jan winning, and then they raced 70.3 Worlds with Jan winning. So a lot of people, it's Jan and Sebi and Jan and Sebi, and you took second last year, right?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the field gets better and better? You've been here for a number of years, and having a Jan Frodeno coming over from the Olympics, and everybody that has upped the ante.
Sure.
When you hear all the discussion of Sebi and Jan, what are your thoughts?
That's fine with me. I think it's okay if they are, more in the spotlight.
They're teammates.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I think it's good. I think, in some regards, I'm probably still earning certain people's, respect or belief. But at the end of the day, I don't control what these other guys do.
Right.
I know they're phenomenal athletes, and they're going to be out there pushing all day and making it a tough race for all of us. But what I control is myself, and ultimately what the most important thing I think is having self-belief. And, I have a high level, especially after last year, and I'm going to go out there and do my very best race. And, we'll see how it stacks up against these guys. I know it's going to be tough. I'm sure they're prepared and hungry for the win too. But, yeah, I feel like I've saved my best race.
Yes.
I didn't have a Frankfurt or a 70.3 World Championships result like Frodo did. But, I think I have a good one in me. I'm fresh, and I'm ready to get it out on the day.
When you think about the race day itself, and I look back in last year, I think there was one moment where I thought, oh, who is this guy? There was, you were going back and forth with Frederik van Lierde, who's defending champion at the time.
Right.
And you didn't back down. I mean, he went by you, and you figure, okay, nice knowing you, Ben Hoffman, and then you go right back by him. How important was that for you to sort of assert yourself and say, listen, I'm not just here to participate. I'm here to win this race.
Yeah, it was tremendously important. Again, I know all these guys, and I know their strengths, and of course, Freddie's right up there on my list. We talk about guys like Kienle and Frodo, but I think Freddie's been kind of quiet this year. He had a phenomenal race at South Africa.
Yes, he did.
He's had some other good, solid races, but he's been training. He's been kind of low key, and he knows what to do. He's, he gets it done. He's very solid across all three disciplines, and I think he'll be ready for the race on Saturday. But to be there with him last year after he'd come off of his win the year before, I knew I was in a good position.
Exactly.
I was definitely keying off of him, and I think he used me as much as I did for use him in the back half of the bike, and then of course in the beginning of the run. But yeah, coming out of the energy lab and passing him, I thought, wow, I've really prepared well, and I'm in a good spot, and I'm passing last year's world champion, and I'm in I've moved back into second place at that point, which was pretty exciting.
So this year, classic race, Calgary 70.3.
Yeah.
Andy Potts, who up until this year, I've never seen him lose a sprint, right? The guy always has that phenomenal leg speed at the end. He lost at Alcatraz, Eric Lagerstrom, and then you got him at Calgary.
Yeah.
And you're training for longer distance stuff at the time. So Did you surprise yourself?
I did a little bit, actually. Yeah, I would say, that maybe Eric showed us that it was possible earlier in the year. And, you know, and I'd been doing some really solid track work in Boulder, so I knew I had a little spring to my step, but I definitely surprised myself. I got up on my toes in the finishing chute with him after going back and forth the whole run, you know, shoulder to shoulder for 21K. And yeah, it was really exciting. I got up on my toes and I felt super good, and I opened a gap, and I just like, this is mine, you know. And I mentally said too, before I got to the finishing chute, when I realized it was going to be a sprint finish, I was kind of like, I'm not losing this race, you know, before I got to that finish line. I think those kinds of things are really important. When you don't get psyched out by it, you prepare yourself for the finish before it even comes. So
the rest of your season, it seemed like you looked at this season as, okay, I right after Kona last year, I went and validated, right?
Yep.
Got that done quickly.
Sure.
Did Texas, sort of just to see where you're at. But the whole season, you were committing to this race, which is, I remember talking to Craig Alexander back in the day, talking about realizing that to win this race, you have to commit to this race. That has to be, the other races are stepping stones, but this is the one that matters.
Right, yeah. No, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier too, is that it's one thing to say it, and I think a lot of guys do, and, you know, and maybe they feel like they mean it, but it's a lot different to say it and then to prepare for it and to really make it the focus. And that's not to make excuses for my racing this year. I think I've had some great races. I think St. George was a good half Ironman race against the best in the world, and Calgary was certainly a great hit out. But, you know, I do think that I've saved most of all my mental energy, which I think you really need out here. You know, I mean, the day gets difficult for everyone every year. There's no way around it. And I think you have to be ready to go to that dark place and be able to really call on that energy and have that well really full so that you can get the best out of yourself on that day. And I feel like I've set things up again to be in that position. You know, I have a great support network around me, whether it's my fiance and my family that are all going to be here, or all my sponsors and everybody else, friends, family, fans, everybody. So the pieces are in place, and now I just have to execute on the day.
Love it. How about a big round of applause for Mr. Ben Hoffman? Second place last year, looking to take one step up. And Thomas Hellriegel, Tim DeBoom, Pete Jacobs, Craig Alexander, Marina Carfrey, and a lot more have gone from second to first. That's your next, baby.
Next,
Love it. Ben Hoffman, one more round of applause. How about taking us out, Mr. Poncho Man?
Ukulele in my soup, excuse me, waiter. And there's a ukulele in my soup, I do declare. A breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man! Woo! And I got a card. I love